I decided to challenge my dear brother and see how he'd react. When William Sewell was engrossed in his phone, I seized the moment, climbed onto his lap, yanked on his tie, and kissed him abruptly. He clutched his lips, staring at me in disbelief. Then, from his phone, my mother's delighted scream echoed, "William Sewell's mom. Did we just witness something real?" Welcome to He History channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins. If I could turn back time, I'd go back to yesterday. If that's not an option, then I'd rather just drop dead. Oh, how I regretted it, every second of it. As a content creator, chasing trends and creating viral moments was essential. When scrolling through short videos, I stumbled upon a new trend, kissing your brother unexpectedly to catch his shocked reaction. I smacked my thigh in excitement. This could work. After all, I had a ready-made brother. Our mothers were best friends, and William Sewell and I had grown up together, rarely apart except for university. After college, William joined his family business, while I became a vlogger, spending my days at home tinkering with various content ideas. As my mother put it, I was lounging around like a big monkey. Then she packed up my stuff and dumped me at William's place, insisting I could learn something from him. Learn what, exactly? His workout routines? His strict self-discipline? His monk-like celibacy? He hadn't even had a girlfriend in all these years. If I lived like him, would there be any joy left in life? No fried chicken, no beer, not even grilled skewers or barbecue. I pitied whichever poor girl would end up with such a peculiar man. That evening, William returned from work, still in his office attire, gripping his phone as he sank into the couch, completely unaware of my approach. I had hidden a camera on the TV stand earlier. Grinning, I tiptoed over to him and, without a moment's hesitation, jumped onto his knee, yanked his tie, and aimed for his cheek. He turned his head just in time, and our lips collided. We both froze. Suddenly, from his phone came my mother's high-pitched squeal, "Ah, William Sewell's mom. Quick, come see this. They're actually doing it." Slowly, like a rusty machine, I turned my head toward the camera, only to see my mother on a video call, wide-eyed and excited. Beside her, William Sewell's mom, wearing a face mask, rushed into the frame, staring at me still perched awkwardly on William's lap. "When did this happen?" she demanded. My brain stalled and I turned to William, hoping he'd clarify. But he just leaned back, smirking as he let our mothers bombard me with questions, making no effort to help. Fuming, I tugged on his tie again, bringing my face closer. "Explain, will you? Say something." He merely glared back with an icy gaze, allowing me to pull at his tie as if lost in thought. Meanwhile, our mother's squeals reached new heights, and I heard my own mother say with glee, "Who knew James could be so bold? Could he actually be the dominant one?" William Sewell's mom disagreed, countering, "James isn't as tall or as strong as William. It would make more sense for William to take charge. He could even lift him up." My mother nodded enthusiastically. Yes, lifting him would be more exciting. I just got an idea. I could draw 20 sketches of this. William Sewell's mom cackled as she eyed us both. "And James is smaller, with a slender waist and soft legs. I bet he'd look great in a dress, being lifted by William." My mother joined in the chuckling, then added, "You're right. William being the dominant one would work better. There's no way William would look as good in a dress as James would." "Excuse me? Mom, could you at least struggle a little before throwing me under the bus like this? What makes you think I'm not dominant? I'm the boldest one there is." "But, wearing a dress? Being lifted by William?" I clutched the tie, stiff as a board as I sat on his lap, feeling utterly disoriented. William sighed, the frustration evident in his voice. "Can we sort out this family matter?" Then, with one swift motion, he wrapped an arm around my waist and ended the video call, ignoring the delighted expressions on the other side. "It's over. I'm done for." I considered my options. Jumping out the window sounded pretty appealing. William, do you think if I leapt from here, I could just end it all? I asked, my voice tinged with desperation. William gave me a sideways glance. From the first floor? You wouldn't even break a bone. In my frustration, I tugged on his tie again, earning myself a sharp slap on the backside. We both froze before William's voice, filled with barely restrained anger, broke the silence. How long are you planning to sit on my lap? I sprang to my feet instantly, releasing his tie. William remained seated, loosening his collar in annoyance, his sharp gaze flicking toward me. With his legs crossed and his hand resting on his knee, he drummed his fingers impatiently. I sat meekly on the carpet, waiting for him to come up with a solution. I told my mom I was filming a video, I began, but she didn't believe me. She doesn't trust me at all anymore. Can you explain things to your mom? You know how she is with me. Sometimes I think I'm not even her biological child. William took out his phone and typed. James Heald was shooting a video. His phone buzzed almost immediately and he tossed it toward me, his face darkening. The message read, roleplay? Sure, just remember to protect your privacy. Mommy supports you completely, and so does Aunt Kiki. William's gaze was icier than ever, and I trembled as I sat on the carpet. I tried suggesting a way out. How about, you tell your mom you dumped me. That way, you save face, we get off the hook and I can move back home. He sneered. Why don't you tell your mom that? I don't need to save face. I shuddered at the thought of my mother's wrath. If I said I dumped William, she'd probably call me 80 times a day to yell at me. I scooted closer to William on my knees, giving him my most pleading look, tugging at his hand for mercy. William, think of something, please? When we were kids, my chubby cheeks and dimples worked like magic on him whenever I got into trouble. Almost every time, William would take the blame for me. It had been years since I'd tried that trick, though. William's gaze lingered on me with disdain, but he finally sighed and pinched my cheek hard. Fine. Let's wait a while. It'll blow over eventually. Would it though? I had my doubts, but William's grim expression kept me quiet. Staying alive sounded pretty good right now. I had captured the video and unlocked the formula for viral content, but who could understand the fear that kept me from actually posting it? Yet, seeing my dwindling followers and inspiration running dry, I hesitated between facing William's wrath or riding the wave of attention. In the end, I chose to edit the video. After trimming out the embarrassing bits and blurring William's face, I nervously uploaded it. The next morning, my notifications exploded with comments like, OMG, sunshine puppy versus aloof, handsome top? Look at him holding her waist. He's got such a perfect grip. Am I the only one who drooled when he said, handle the family matter in that deep voice? I couldn't read anymore. What on earth were these people thinking? Later, William showed up in casual clothes, holding a parcel. Here, he said, tossing it to me. Your mom sent you something? The excitement vanished when I opened it to find a dress. William smirked, leaning against the wall with a cup of coffee. I threw the dress aside and lunged at him, only to be stopped a meter away, his hand firmly planted on my head. My mother had even sent a picture as inspiration. Two people close enough to kiss, one bending forward while the other remained seated. Apparently, she wanted me in a dress for a photo shoot with William. What a nightmare. Before I could reply, my mother messaged, if my darling son doesn't cooperate, then no more gifts for you. Smiley face. In the photo, there they were, my treasured collection of models and figurines, along with the sharp glint of scissors in my mother's hand. A blatant threat, pure and simple. I struggled for a couple of minutes, glaring at the wig and dress like they were mortal enemies. But in the end, I put them on. All for the sake of my precious belongings. The dress's smooth fabric felt cool against my bare skin, and I stumbled into the 5-centimeter heels, almost tripping 5 times on my way to the living room. The moment William Sewell saw me, he spit out his coffee in shock, his eyes wide. What are you staring at? Hurry up and give me a hand, I snapped. He approached me in a daze, steadying me by the arm as we walked a few steps. I gritted my teeth, set up the camera, and pushed the utterly confused William into the newly delivered gaming chair, striking a pose to mimic the one in the reference picture. As I leaned closer to him, his bewildered expression turned into something more intense. He leaned in, his gaze deepening, a hint of red flushing behind his ears. Then, out of nowhere, his lips met mine. I stumbled back, completely taken aback. "What are you doing?" I exclaimed. William's lips glistened with a hint of moisture as he frowned. "I should be asking you that. What were you trying to do?" "My mom said she was out of inspiration and threatened me with my collectibles to get me to dress up and take a picture with you. Didn't Auntie tell you anything?" I retorted, staring at him like he had lost his mind. William gritted his teeth and rubbed his forehead. "Next time, just give me a heads up, okay? I thought you were..." I glared at him. "You thought what? Don't tell me you believed I was trying to seduce you." His gaze traveled from my empty chest down to the skirt and heels, finally landing back on my face. His cheeks flushed a deep red. "You look really cute." From a young age, if I needed a favor from William, he'd be cold and ruthless over the phone or computer, but if we met face to face, he'd always reluctantly help me, despite his complaints. I thought back to the cute girl I saw in the mirror just moments ago, long hair, dimples, and an innocent face, and swallowed hard. Was it possible? Could William be powerless against my looks? When I was making the hostage rescue video, it hadn't even occurred to me that the gaming chair in the background would play a role. And now, with over 1 million followers and the previous video bringing in such a huge response, why not capitalize on this moment? After all, I'd already dressed up, so why not share the whole experience, complete with the brand sponsorship? James Heald, you might just be a genius. Once the video went live, the comments section exploded. OMG, the cross-dressing is so cute. Look at those legs. Is this the same guy from last time? I saw that hand, it's him, right? Trying to hide your husband from us? I'm fine with the floor, do it in front of me please. More cross-dressing please. We love it. The fans were wild. But as I watched the follower count soar and views skyrocket, I couldn't help but grin. Maybe cross-dressing wasn't so hard to accept. If every video could get millions of views, wearing a dress a few times wasn't the end of the world. The truth is, once you cross-dress once, it's never just one time, it's countless times. Recently, William had been acting strangely, leaving early and coming back late, always looking conflicted whenever he saw me. I wasn't afraid of him trying anything at night, yet he was the one avoiding me. When I reached 2 million followers, the private messages flooded in, demanding another cross-dressing video. They wanted to see that black stockings lady step on the big brute. The requests were getting out of hand. Black stockings? That was a bit too much. But the first comment had already gained 20,000 likes. It was hard to ignore. Damn it, fine. If black stockings were what it took to make money, I'd suffer through it. I messaged my mom. "Mom, can you get me a black stockings lady outfit?" I hadn't wanted to involve her, but being the clueless guy I was, I couldn't tell the difference between dresses, shoes, and wigs. I didn't know any girls to ask either. I didn't expect my mom, who usually ignored me, to reply so quickly. As soon as I opened a shopping app, the message popped up. "Son, you've come to the right person. Nana and I will pick out the perfect outfit for you. And make sure to get along well with William, okay?" Smiling face with smiling eyes, smiling face with smiling eyes, smiling face with smiling eyes. Fastest response in history. I'm impressed. "What is this?" I asked, holding up the 2 silicone inserts in bewilderment, speaking to the livestream audience. Yes, I was doing a live broadcast to celebrate hitting 2 million followers. I figured just a regular cross-dressing video wouldn't show enough appreciation from my fans, so I decided on a live transformation. With William being so busy, there was no risk of him stumbling in on me. I had received the outfit from my mom, and everything was ready. It's a must-have for any cross-dressing master, someone commented, causing my face to flush. The chat erupted in laughter while I took the dress, wig, and heels into the bedroom. 10 minutes later, I emerged wearing the wig my mother had styled, a lovely dress, and high heels paired with black stockings. The live chat went silent for a moment before exploding. "I'm ready, milady. Love me." OMG, even the big brute would struggle to resist this cuteness. Black stockings, long legs, and that innocent face? It's a killer combo. Blushing, I was about to speak when the door slammed open. The chat erupted again. I heard footsteps. Did the big brute just come back? Show us. No way. Is the little cutie going to get eaten up in front of us? Forget the bed, the sofa's right there. Don't treat us like strangers. I turned around to see William, flushed and smelling of alcohol, stumble through the door. His unfocused eyes widened as they landed on me. He yanked at his tie and walked over, stopping right in front of me. Grabbing my chin, he tilted my face up. "You look adorable," he said in a husky voice. I swallowed hard. Something felt off. "Can I kiss you?" he asked, not waiting for an answer before pulling me into his arms, pressing his lips, still warm and smelling faintly of alcohol, against mine. At least wait for my response. The chat blew up. Am I really getting this for free? He's so handsome. His body's amazing. Can we get a little strip show for the fans? They look perfect together. Ah, so cute. Hurry up. The sofa is ready. Don't hold back just because she's a flower. Finally managing to push him away, I collapsed onto the sofa, legs too weak to stand. William had the nerve to look hurt. Furious, I shouted, "Kneel." I just wanted to regain some dignity, but to my surprise, a tipsy William obediently dropped to one knee in front of me. Stunned, I kicked off my aching heels, intending to nudge his shoulder, but he grabbed my leg instead. His slender fingers gently caressed my calf before he placed my foot on his knee, slowly slipping the shoe back on. As I glanced up, the chat was flooded with gifs, the comments rolling by so fast they lagged the screen. Oh no. I leaped up and quickly ended the live stream. Looking down at William, who was still kneeling and nuzzling his face against my leg, I could only wish him luck. Hopefully, when he sobers up, he'll be strong enough to face reality. The next morning, I was sleeping soundly when a sudden chill hit me. Someone had pulled the covers off. Squinting, I saw William standing by the bed, looking utterly incredulous. Closing my eyes, I yanked the blanket back. But before I could return to sleep, he grabbed my shoulders and shook me. "James healed, nothing happened between us last night, right?" he asked, a hint of panic in his voice. I opened my eyes and glared at him like a dead fish. He awkwardly let go, his gaze shifting downward to where I lay beneath the blanket. "Are you hurt?" "I drank too much last night." "I didn't mean to," he said, reaching out as if to check. Annoyed, I slapped his hand away, tossed my phone at him, and played the trending video. I crossed my arms, ready to watch his reaction, but all he did was stare at the screen, expressionless, his disheveled hair framing his face. "James healed, explain to me why our video is trending on a short video platform." Oh no. I had forgotten he didn't know I had posted it. I frantically tried to crawl away, but William grabbed my leg and dragged me back. I kicked at him, desperate to escape his grasp. To keep me under control, that jerk William Sewell twisted my arms behind my back, holding me in a way that made it feel like I was entirely trapped in his embrace. He pinned me down, clearly ready to teach me a lesson, while I thrashed about, desperate to break free. I twisted around, trying to land a blow, but then, something awkwardly bumped between us. In an instant, we both froze. It was morning, after all, and any guy would know what that means. It wasn't a big deal, we were both men after all. But then, for some inexplicable reason, William shifted against me, causing my soul to practically leave my body in fright. "William Sewell, get off of me now," I yelled. And now, here I was, wearing a dress and a face mask, walking through the mall with William Sewell. Who would have thought things would come to this? After the video incident went viral, William claimed that his reputation had taken a serious hit because of me and demanded emotional compensation, threatening to spill the beans to my mother if I didn't comply. The nerve! After some heated negotiations, we reached an agreement. I had to wear the outfits he bought, catering to his strange little fetish. Of course, I wasn't about to let myself be taken advantage of completely. I made sure to secure my own terms in the deal. William would appear in future videos with me to boost my popularity. Even though wearing women's clothes wasn't exactly thrilling for me, the arrangement wasn't entirely bad. It was a win-win considering the circumstances. William, ever the CEO, went on a shopping spree, coming back with an entire collection of pretty dresses. He glanced at me, clearly hoping I'd help carry some of the bags. Instead, I casually removed my mask and blinked innocently at him. His face turned bright red in an instant. Clenching his jaw, he grabbed all the bags himself and hauled them away, never asking me to help again. What did you just say? You want me to go with you to a class reunion? Are you crazy? I stared in disbelief at the dress in William Sewell's hands. No choice, he replied calmly, crossing his arms and resting them on his knees. You know I don't have any girls in my life, so I need you to help me out. He looked at me with a sincere gaze that was completely different from the way he'd looked at me in women's clothes before. It's just a reunion. Does it really matter whether you bring a girlfriend or not? I tried to reason with him, but the jerk pulled out his phone and showed me the screen. It was a chat with my mom. I scoffed, picked up the dress from his lap, and marched back to the bedroom to change, donning the wig from before. Fine, let's go. Instead of heading directly to the restaurant, we stopped at a makeup counter, where an artist began working on my face. As she applied foundation and contoured my cheeks, William stood beside us, nervously adding, "Make it cute." The nerve! As soon as we walked into the private dining room, every head turned toward me. Among them was a stunningly beautiful woman with cold features, whose gaze cut through me like a knife. Just as I was about to sit down, she pushed me aside and took the seat next to William. Seeing me stumble, William immediately reached out, wrapping his arms around me as if to shield me from harm. Are you okay? Did you twist your ankle in those heels? His voice was full of concern as he looked me up and down. All eyes in the room were on us. I felt embarrassed and gently nudged William with my elbow, trying to avoid speaking too loudly lest my voice give me away. I'm fine, I whispered. William turned his cold gaze toward the woman who had shoved me aside. The class president, trying to ease the tension, quickly spoke up, "The food's here. Josie driver, why don't you sit down and give it a try? William, you'd better take good care of your girlfriend. The dishes here are fantastic." I thought the matter was settled, and the atmosphere at the table began to lighten. But just as dinner was winding down, the woman, Josie driver, cast a glance at me and then turned to William. "I didn't expect you to go for this type," she said with a faint sneer. "But, you know, these sweet-looking girls aren't always as innocent as they appear." Her words were dripping with malice, insinuating that I was after William for his family background and money, perhaps even suggesting my private life was less than respectable. William glared at her in silence, and the entire room went still. No one dared speak. Seeing how awkward things had become, and remembering the push from earlier, I decided I'd had enough. I didn't want to get into a conflict, but if she was going to be so hostile, I wasn't going to back down. I reached up, pulled off my wig, and waved it in her direction. "Excuse me, ma'am, I'm a guy. And for the record, William and I grew up together. Our moms are best friends. I'm not interested in his money or his family." William frowned and took the wig from my hands, carefully placing it back on my head in front of everyone. Josie stared at him in shock. "William Sewell, you like men?" "Yes, I like men," he replied casually, putting his arm around my shoulder and planting a quick kiss on my lips. Without so much as a glance at Josie, he picked up my bag and took my hand, leading me out of the room. As we left, I glanced back to see Josie's stunned expression morphing into one of utter disbelief. It would probably take her a long time to come to terms with the fact that she'd lost to a man. Josie Driver was one of William's college classmates, a strikingly beautiful woman with a well-off background. She'd grown up spoiled, used to getting her way. According to a reliable source, William's own mother, Josie had been infatuated with him for years, even going so far as to track him down during winter and summer breaks. She once showed up at his parents' house unannounced, much to the alarm of William's mom and dad. As William's mother had once put it, she's a pretty girl, but a bit too forward for William's taste. Outside, I gave William a punch in the arm. I agreed to help, but who said you could kiss me? He caught my wrist and pushed me against the wall, his other hand landing beside my head in a classic Cabotin. His eyes twinkled with amusement as he tilted his head, lips curling into a smile. Not happy? Then why don't you kiss me back? As if, no way I was going to do that. Eventually, the video did reach my mom and William's mom. When my mother called me for a video chat, I was actually in the middle of trying on a JK uniform that William had bought for a photo shoot themed around a schoolgirl and domineering CEO couple. As fate would have it, I was wearing white stockings when William, the sneaky bastard, barged in. I charged at him, shoving him right back out of the room. What are you looking at? Are you a crotch-watching cat? I yelled. From the other side of the door, William chuckled, knocking on the wood 3 times. Your mom's calling you, he said. I yanked the door open, face flushed with anger. William stepped closer, towering over me. His pale, elegant hand reached out, fingers lightly tugging on the hem of my skirt. Leaning in so that only I could hear, he whispered, I saw it. Pink? You're pink. Your whole family's pink. That night, around 8, I was lying in bed scrolling through my phone when I came across a post about a new barbecue restaurant that had just opened. My stomach growled on cue. With a burst of energy, I sprang out of bed and ran to William's room, banging on the door. William Sewell, hurry up. I have a stomachache. Behind me, William's voice sounded indifferent. What are you doing? I turned to see him standing at the bathroom door, shirtless and still wet from a shower. Beads of water dripped from his hair onto his firm chest and down to where they disappeared beneath the towel wrapped around his waist. I gulped, suddenly feeling parched. The hum of the bathroom fan buzzed softly as William approached, reaching out toward my stomach. I flinched back instinctively. Not hurting anymore? He asked, raising an eyebrow. I avoided his gaze, feeling a bit sheepish. I was just joking. I'm actually hungry. Come on. Let's go get barbecue. We haven't gone out together since high school. Seeing that I was fine, he grabbed a towel and dried his hair, dismissing my suggestion. Not interested. What kind of 20-something refuses barbecue? What was he, a health nut? He had a great body and soft lips, but his words were like ice. I didn't get it, but I had a plan. I rushed back to my room, threw on a pink dress, and slipped on a bob-cut wig. Then I darted back to William's room, where he was leaning against the headboard, reading a book in a foreign language with silver-framed glasses perched on his nose. Taking advantage of his distraction, I climbed onto the bed and crawled over to sit on his lap, blinking up at him with big, pleading eyes. William, I'm hungry. His Adam's apple bobbed as he pushed up his glasses. What do you want to eat? Barbecue. The new place on the east side. I want it, and I want it now. I jumped up from his lap, ready to dash out the door, but a firm hand grabbed my wrist and yanked me back. I stumbled straight into his bare chest, and when I looked up, William was chuckling softly. I tried to break free, but he pinned me down on the bed, looming over me. What are you doing? I asked, panic rising in my voice. He cupped my face with one large hand, his fingers covering half my cheek. We can go for barbecue, but there's a price. Before I could react, the same childhood friend I'd grown up with lowered his head and kissed me hard. I stared at him in disbelief as my breath was stolen away. My mind went blank, and I completely forgot about the barbecue I'd been craving. Later, I found myself huddled in the corner of William's bed, clutching a blanket as he sat at the edge, keeping a certain distance from me, my requirement. "Have you thought it through?" he asked. I scratched my head, feeling like I was finally about to grow a brain because William Sewell had gone mad. He just confessed to me. That's right, no mistake. 10 minutes ago, after drenching me in saliva during that kiss, William boldly declared his feelings. "James Heald want a boyfriend? How about one who grew up with you?" I was dumbfounded. "What made you suddenly go bent?" His gaze moved down my body, lingering on my chest. "Since high school," he said, his voice deepening. "Every time I saw you, I'd get excited." What kind of scandalous words were those? Wait, does this mean that's why you refused to attend the same school as me after high school? I asked, piecing things together. William nodded. "So, you have to take responsibility. But you always liked girls, didn't you? This must be a mistake. You're probably just confused because you think I look cute in these clothes." I grabbed his shoulders and shook him, desperate for him to snap out of it. He caught my hands, his gaze serious. "How do you know I liked girls?" I felt a dull ache in my chest as I forced myself to stay calm. "Aunt Nana told me." After I graduated high school, William's mom had approached me mysteriously, saying she had a surprise for me. "Nana loves her cute James," she had said. "If William ever bullies you, just use this against him." I widened my eyes with curiosity. William Sewell has a weakness? It was hard to imagine that someone as composed and mature as William Sewell could have a vulnerability. For some reason, I felt a strange excitement stirring within me. His mother's expression turned mysterious. William Sewell once had a crush on a little girl. He was absolutely smitten with her. Whenever she cried, he'd drop everything to comfort her. He'd visit her every day and even sneak kisses. Back then, I was thrilled to hear about William's secret, but now, the thought left me feeling a little down. Damn it, was this some kind of cliched childhood sweetheart story? Then what was I? The stand-in? The throwaway side character? The villainous supporting male? William's face flushed red as he listened to my words. He stared at me for a long moment, then mumbled, "You'll find out who she is eventually." Hadn't he told me before that he'd never had a girlfriend? Now there was suddenly a childhood sweetheart in the picture. I couldn't believe that the William Sewell I grew up with was actually a two-timer. What a jerk. As the year came to a close, both families gathered for a celebration. Over dinner, William's mom suddenly asked, "How are you two getting along?" Then she and my mom shared knowing giggles. I kept my head down, poking at the beef in my bowl. I was just as puzzled. What exactly was the relationship between William and me at this point? He'd confessed his feelings, yet still seemed to have a lingering affection for another girl. The thought gnawed at me, leaving a dull ache in my chest. I glanced up and found William watching me from across the table, a faint trace of concern in his eyes. I quickly averted my gaze. After dinner, I tried to retreat to my room to avoid him, but just as I reached the doorway, I heard the door next to mine click open. A hand pulled me back and pinned me against the wall. His palm pressed against my forehead. "Why do you look so out of it? Are you feeling sick?" Then, leaning closer, he murmured, "If you catch a cold, let me kiss it away. I'll take it from you." I turned my head, dodging his advance. "William Sewell, stop," I started to say, but my tone must have hinted at rejection, because his expression darkened. Without hesitation, he tilted my face toward him and kissed me deeply. His warmth, mingled with the cool minty scent that was uniquely his, overwhelmed my senses. I wanted to resist, but the tears that welled up blurred my vision and dampened his lips. "William Sewell, if you have a girl you like, don't mess with me. If you keep this up, we won't even be able to stay friends." "Idiot." He sighed, taking my hand and guiding me to sit on the bed. He then walked over to a shelf and took down a photo album. Sitting beside me, he pulled me into his embrace, placing the album in my lap. "Let me show you what the girl I love looks like." I was on the verge of tears, but I couldn't help feeling curious. He opened the album and there, page after page, was a little girl with a round face, dimples, and pigtails, about 5 or 6 years old, smiling sweetly at the camera. But she looked so familiar, too familiar, in fact. This was me when I was little. I turned to William, completely stunned. He leaned down and pressed a light kiss on my shoulder. Seems like someone forgot their own past and ended up accusing me of liking someone else. I never liked anyone else, James. I've only ever liked you. Seeing the album during the day must have triggered old memories because, that night, they returned vividly in my dreams. I remembered when my family had just moved into the neighborhood. Aunt Nana was a lively and enthusiastic woman. As soon as she heard that new neighbors had arrived, she brought William over to our house. I was sitting in the yard, wearing a pink t-shirt, my hair in a bob, holding a little shovel as I built a sandcastle. When I looked up, there was a boy standing in front of me, his cheeks flushed. "Can I play with you?" Aunt Nana, standing nearby, looked at my mom in surprise. "My William never plays with the other kids in the neighborhood. I can't believe he wants to play with your daughter." My mom burst out laughing, covering her mouth. "What daughter?" "That's my son, James. The shirt he's wearing was a gift from his aunt." I sat beside William, watching him in awe as he built a sandcastle with perfect edges and angles. It was amazing. "William, you're so talented," I exclaimed. Still blushing, he asked, "What's your name?" "James," I replied. "James? That's a beautiful name." And so, William mistakenly thought there was a Janes in my family, right up until he turned 10. That was when he found out that the girls he liked had actually been his best friend James all along. The discovery left him devastated. From then on, he buried the memory, never letting anyone bring it up. As for me, I had fallen ill when I was 8 and forgotten all about it. Now, with all the memories flooding back, I pointed at William and laughed uncontrollably. "You actually thought I was a girl. You asked for this," he warned. "Don't regret it." My smugness came with consequences. On the afternoon of New Year's Day, with our parents exchanging suggestive glances, William ended up dragging me back to his place. It felt as if I were a tiny boat tossed about on stormy seas, with my body caught in wave after wave. My voice shattered into fragments as soon as I tried to speak. "James Heald? James?" He whispered my name. "William Soulk?" Outside the window, fireworks blossomed in the night sky. And in that moment, everything reached a perfect harmony. The end.
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.